The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by memories that refuse to die. I can't get away from a vision that brings intimate glimpses of intimate things. A voice in my heart like a tart singer sings. I wonder who's kissing her now. The house is haunted by the echo of your favorite song. The place is cluttered up with roses that have lived too long, much too long. The ceiling is white, but the shadows are black. A ghost in my heart says she'll never come back. The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by memories that refuse to die. I can't get away from a vision that brings intimate glimpses of intimate things. A voice in my heart like a tart singer sings. I wonder who's kissing her now. The house is haunted by the echo of your favorite song. The place is cluttered up with roses that have lived too long, much too long.
Good evening and welcome to the Haunt Hour with with your host, Dan Doble, Susie Fleesick, and Troy Crivelone. Join us tonight as we talk about all things haunting and Halloween during the Haunt Hour.
You know, I just love that intro, Troy. I just love that intro. It gets all excited. I get all excited when it comes in, and then it's like it just cuts off. So I think maybe we should try and figure out some way to blend that in a little bit better.
Maybe you know.
I don't know.
I can do all things. It's fine. I got it.
I'm just glad you used a good picture of me because, like, you didn't even ask. You just like took a picture, and I was like, oh God, thank God.
If anybody knows me, which I don't think anybody does know me, I've been known to Photoshop haunters into crazy amounts of different settings, and some of it highly offensive, some of it super crazy and funny. So you never know where your picture may show up.
Troy tends to do things before asking.
Absolutely.
That's fine. I would have had something to say about it if it was a bad picture. It never would have been on Facebook for you to grab if it were a bad picture. So
That's
true. It's all your fault.
It's totally. I go onto your Facebook page, not your enemies. I mean your friends.
Yeah. Not the tagged photos. It's the
no. I never go into
those. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Haunt Hour. I am Dan with Haunt Collective. Today, as always, we have Susie, the Flambango Fleesick, and damn it, Troy Crivelone. So tonight we're going to be bringing on Spenser Dillman, who is the actor manager. Is there anything more? I'm sure he does. He wears probably a ton of hats, but I think officially what we're talking about is actor management tonight for 100 Acre Manor in Pennsylvania. What city is that in Pennsylvania? Putting you on the spot.
You asking me? It's around Pittsburgh. Let's put it that way. Because I'm really bad at directions. So yeah, we'll just wait. He's probably like watching this.
He's backstage laughing right now.
He's like, Jesus Christ. He's actually like gone. He's like, I don't want to do this show anymore. You guys don't even know.
Just fly into Pittsburgh and take a left. You'll find it. It's right there.
Right. It's down there.
Yeah, they have big searchlights. You can't miss it.
Yeah, like honestly, if you just ask someone, they'll direct you. Not me. Don't ask me because I won't direct you because I have no clue. No, I'm kidding. It's close enough to be like it's close enough that you could go to us and then drive there and get like their VIP and still do like 2 haunts in one night. So there.
Very nice. Very nice.
Close enough, then. It's
doesn't help anyone.
We'll find out details later. Stay tuned. But before we get into that excitement, we are going to talk about some news that's happening in the industry, big or small, or none at all. You like that?
I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
That's just rambling. Yeah. So, tonight, so you want to start, Troy, and then I'll go and we'll let.
Sure. I don't really have any news, but I do have kind of a spooky story. A quick spooky story because you know me, I like to talk. So I have a friend who moved from Portland to Westfield, Massachusetts. He now lives in a 300-year-old certified haunted house. So he doesn't need to decorate. He just says hi. It's October all year round. And he does decorate a little bit, but it seems kind of redundant for him to do that. But the mailman likes it, and that's really the only real visitor he gets. So, but walking around he has 2 acres and most of it's forested in the back. And he was walking back there about a couple weeks ago and noticed a pretty much brand new skeleton from Target. So it was still in the, in this position, it had tags and everything, and it was just in the middle of the woods. And
weird.
The nearest Target is quite a bit a ways away. And there was no bite marks, so like nothing dragged it there that he could see. There was nothing disturbed around it, like somebody had drug it there, or that people had walked around in that area. He doesn't know how long it was there, but they generally walk around the property several times a month. And so within the last month or two, somehow a skeleton appeared in their backyard.
Somebody airdropped a skeleton, a target
right,
skeleton.
You know what? That's actually, I said, I think that Amazon picked up the skeleton via drone and it was just too heavy. It just fell.
Or it just misplaced the location, and that's where it ended up.
That's just this spot right here.
Never know.
So, but he offered it to me. My haunt actually does have a bunch of his old props from when he moved, because he can't really take giant panels of fake fence boards for windows on an airplane with him, and so I inherited a lot of that haunt. It was called the Old Burial Ground, and so I have plenty of it here. And he offered me the skeleton, and I said, well, it's going to be kind of hard to take back on an airplane when I go to New England in October. And I said, but I have a friend who just so happened to have lost all of her Halloween stuff. So that item will be going to Kit when I get there. So hopefully me and Adrian is his name, will meet up, and we will have a drink and exchange skeletons, I guess. So
wow, crazy. Anyway, yeah, awesome. Well, that's a great story. I mean, it's fun to find weird shit in your backyard,
right?
You own a spooky haunted house,
right.
So I'll jump in. Mine's not spooky. If anything, it's super exciting because for the first time since before COVID, my counterpart Kyle Krieger from the East Coast, New York City, Big Apple Kyle, we call him. He's also part of Haunt Collective inside the haunt industry. Is coming back to Wisconsin for and it was I don't want to say it was the last minute thing, but he called me like 2 weeks ago and said, hey, I'm coming back. And then I totally forgot when he was coming back. And then he called me and said, hey, I'm here. All these people I have to see and all these things I have to do. What works for you? So Thursday, Liz, Kyle, and myself are getting together, and we're having some drinks, and we're talking about haunted house stuff, and we're gonna have a good old time. So awesome. I'm excited. Kyle's back in town. We get to see him and get to talk shop in person, face to face for the first time. 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. Yeah. I mean, we talk virtually all the time, but it's no fun when your best friend is gone.
Pictures, or it didn't happen.
Fair enough. I was in a video. Kyle told me not to video, but that's just not going to happen. Almost going to have to come along with. So that's what's going on with me. What's going on down there by you, Susie? Anything?
Oh, not much. Yeah, I think I touched on this last week where we had our first haunt meeting. I had a really good turnout at my first haunt meeting of the season. We had it on Saturday, and we had some new people, and things are moving along swimmingly. I feel like for the first time, this is our 6th year. I feel like for the first time, people are excited early. So it's just beginning in June. I've got most of my staff coming back.
Do you have just your managers show up for the meetings early in the season like this?
No, I want to get my actors in there because I want to get them like kind of revved up. And I don't know if I touched on this last time, but and this is something that I want to talk to Spenser about if there's time, because I feel like there's a million questions for him. But I'm interested in what he does as far as putting characters with his actors. The way I do it and the way other people do it might be different. I know it's definitely different, but some people do it like they're casting a play where they have the lineup of characters and they just find the actors to fit those characters. And I try to do it a different way. I want my actors to actually be involved in creating their characters. So we kind of did something new this year. I have an actor sheet where they fill out a character sheet, fill out what they want their characters to do and be and stuff. And I'm just interested to hear from a much larger haunt what they actually do when it comes time for casting their characters. So this will be interesting.
I've always done that whenever I've done a walkthrough haunt. I would just kind of tell the people that were acting, this is the theme of the haunt. Yeah. What do you want to be? And create your character. We also had it where they had to create their scene. I gave them the room and they had to create the scene. So it gives them ultimate, control. Control over it and pride in what they created.
Absolutely. And I always say that this isn't like a job. This is a gig, which kind of makes it like you're then an artist. So then you as the artist get a hand in what we're creating here. So I think it just kind of, it's a good thing.
It does play on that, but I can imagine that Spenser, I don't know what he's going to say, but I would think from a larger hunt perspective.
Oh my gosh. There's no time for that.
There's no time.
No.
I'm sure.
There's no time for that. This
Yeah.
is what you're doing. I've cast you for this position. This is how you're going to run the show.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, there will be another guy lined up behind you. That's
Right.
And there probably is there, I'm sure.
Well, without further ado, let's get Spenser in here and talk to him about all fun haunted things. So, hello, Spenser.
Hello.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. For those of you that are out there that are watching, Spenser, can you just give us a little bit of a pitch of who you are, like a history of who you are and what you mean to the haunted attraction industry?
So I am the actor manager for 100 Acres Manor Haunted Attraction in Pittsburgh, PA. We're in Bethel Park, which is like 20 minutes south of the city.
Where? I've never heard of it.
Right. But yeah, on top of that, I just wear as many hats as I can for our haunted house. I do set design, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
A little bit.
How long have you been there?
Oh, I've been there since 2012. So what, 9 years?
Awesome.
It's been a while then.
Yeah.
What did you start as?
I started as a volunteer actually. So when I was in high school, we have a volunteer program where high school students can come in and raise funds for like their clubs and activities and stuff. And I would go down with our drama club on the weekend sometimes when we had our fundraising nights. And then I grew up in the same town that our haunted in. So it was like just kind of a no-brainer that once I graduated that I would do it more often because I didn't have anything like drama club getting in the way. Yep. And then they first offered we call them core actors. And so I was one of the first paid staff members as an actor that were down there. When they switched and they wanted consistency, they brought, I think there were like 22 of us that were hired to be there every single night. And then they can't get rid of me.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. From looking at your stat list, you're pretty talented dude.
Thank you.
What, for those that are watching, what do you? And you said you wore a lot of hats. What do you do for 100 Acre Manor?
So first and foremost is actor management. That's always like my biggest priority down there. And then preseason, I do scenic design, construction, more the artwork side. Like I can't build a sound building to save my life. But like I can build a maze panel. Like
I will make it look amazing.
Yeah, it'll look pretty, but
in like 20-mile-an-hour wind.
So they don't let me do any of that stuff. We have contractors that come in and build everything, and then I just our creative director and then our actors get involved. We have our entire team they're able to come down and swing hammers with us. And then lighting and sound. That's why I have this microphone. I record all of our custom sound and animations and stuff like that. So
oh wow.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I just learned how to do it too. It was really exciting.
We'll figure. You're good at it.
Yeah. We live by the motto of we'll just figure it out. If we need something and we want to keep it in-house, we'll just figure it out as best as we can.
Perfect. Awesome. So with that being said, Susie, do you have questions? I posted this like yesterday or today in one of the groups, and I got a ton of questions.
Yeah, I did see that. Now my question, you were listening.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of questions. My question was, because I know you were listening backstage, but my question was, and I'm first of all, I want to know how many actors do you guys have a season?
So we finished our 2019 season with, I think it was, I just did this the other day. I think it was 67 actors we had on staff. Now we don't have all of them there every single night, unfortunately.
Okay.
The most we had in one evening was 58. And then the least we had was like 44 or something like that.
Okay. I was thinking like 150. That was the number that was
that's our paid staff. So then on top of that, each night we usually have around 20 to 25 volunteer actors that will come down.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you do have the volunteer actors.
So on average, we're staffing with like anywhere from 65 to 75 actors a night total.
So
go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, how do you manage that?
How do you do your
so
job?
on the way in, I
Tell us
grabbed 2 Red
everything.
Bull, and
So
then
before you walk me through a day of Spenser Dillman at the Haunt on a Saturday night.
Okay, so on a Saturday night, we call them zone sheets, and that's my cast list essentially. My cast list is where I look and I have the availability of every single paid actor ahead of time, so I know who I can expect to be there. Sans like, I got a flat tire, stuff like that. I can't make it. I'm sick. Those things that are the bane of my existence.
That are obviously always true.
And it's always 5 minutes before.
100.
But yeah, so I know how many paid actors that I'm going to have that night, and I place them generally in the same spots every single night, unless it's like, oh crap, now I need to like spread you guys out to cover as much ground as possible. With that, I then have like which spots I need for volunteers, and then I'll come in. I have 2 cast lists, so one goes upstairs to our core actor room, the other one stays with me. And then on that sheet, I fill out and place all the volunteers that we get. And then those then go out to our zone managers. And then they are the ones, we have like costumed characters that are rotating each section of our haunted house that fit that theme to help take care of the volunteers and the paid actors. So that way,
interesting.
we don't have dead spots.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, your volunteers, are they all these high school kids that you told us about, or could you just be like anybody?
Oh, it's any group or anything like that. With us being a nonprofit, we've had groups from Animal Friends come in, and if they bring X amount of people, we give X amount of dollars. So for the evening, so we've had adults, we've had kids. It's mostly high school students, who are like raising money for their clubs and activities and stuff.
We did that one year with wrestlers. We had like a group of boys. We just gave them one scene, and oh my gosh, it might have been our second year, and they loved it. We gave them like $1 from every ticket we sold, and they did really well, and they had a fun time. And they just never did it again. I don't know why, because they had a blast. But yeah, it can be fun.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm going to pop it up here on the thing. It says Daryl Plunky said, "So zone managers are costumed and fill in needs when bathroom breaks, etc." Is that what you do for that, or is there?
Yeah. Before I started actor managing, we had staff members that were zone managers that were basically like in all black with backpacks and headsets. The problem is though, is that way when your actor has to go to the bathroom, you have a dead space in your haunt at that point. And I don't care how detailed, how extra your other actors are. If you have that one dead space, that's the place that people remember, is when they walk through that room and they're like, there was nobody in there. It was like a haunted museum. And I'm like, I had to pee, relax.
Yeah.
Kyle. Not Kyle specifically.
Kyle / Karen.
Kyle, Karen, Brad.
Male Karen,
yeah. But yeah, so we put them in costume so that way, like, there's a system. I want my actors to be as taken care of as we want our patrons to feel like they're being taken care of, because they're there to see a show. They're not there to experience your queue line. They're not there to experience your concession stand. They're there to see your actors perform. So if your actors can't perform, if your actors are uncomfortable, they're not performing comfortably. That's how I look at it.
I agree. And that's a good segue into my next question, actually. So the way that I cast, because I do my actors, the way I cast my characters, I don't really cast. We were just talking about this. I just came up with this system, I guess, this year, where I have a sheet and I passed it out on Saturday, and I said, everybody fill out like what you want your character to be or do, or how you want them to look. Of course, some people can't wear masks, some people can't wear makeup, et cetera, et cetera. So just like check off everything. This does not mean that everything you check off you're going to get, but I just want to know what you want to do and what you are able to do, because I want to play on your strong suit. I don't want to be like, okay, Dan, I want you crawling on the floor wearing this mask, and you're going to be like, I can't wear it, and I also can't crawl because I have bad knees. Like, that's not going to work. So whatever you're good at. So how do you do that? Do you do that for any of your characters? Or are you basically like, here's my cast list, I need somebody to be this, 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 and this, and cast them?
So in previous years, I like approached it from like, it's my show, and like that doesn't work. I learned very quickly that like after the first day of auditions, like if you're in an intimidating business for people to kind of come and try and work at, they're immediately shut down and they're immediately not able to perform. So I then changed it to, I want the same thing. I want to know what your interests are, what you want to do. Like, do you want to scream all night, or do you have to go answer phone calls all day at your day job? Because you can't do both.
Yeah.
So like, do you want to have a more scripted role? Do you want to do something that's more interactive and improv? Do you just want to wear a mask? Do you not want to do any of that? And do you want to be behind the giant Gore Galore prop that like you don't even need to have makeup on? You just pushing that thing and being the most. Yeah. So that's kind of what we started doing in our audition rounds like the previous year. And then this year I'm doing it very similar to that. I, as an actor, I'm the worst. I'm just going to throw this out there because I was a Q-line actor. No. I mean, I've had my moments probably, but no, I was a Q-line actor, and I was very privileged in the fact that I could walk in and put pantyhose on my face and run out into our queue line, and nobody would question that I was just doing whatever I wanted. And then I'm now, as a manager, turning around and looking at people and not allowing that kind of freedom with reins put on them. So like one thing that I like to do is, if we have a theme, as long as the character that you present to me fits within this theme and within the room that you're going to be in, we can start working together on these characters. Nice. But like, if you're in a hospital, like, don't come in here like trying to be a monster zombie 3000 or whatever. Like, it has to make sense in what in what you're going to be doing.
Well, so, you guys have like 5 haunts, so you have a little bit more of a range.
We got a range, a couple cards that we can throw out and like let people do these things. But we also like to offer like specific character like prompts, so that way it's like, okay, we have an aliens themed attraction, so you're a military like security official kind of character. Like, how do you want to play that? And some people are like, they want to be Rambo, and other people are like, I want to be Private Ryan. So, and you kind of got to get them all together so that way it's all the same.
So to ask that question, when I owned a haunted house and we did that, we had a similar, I mean, it wasn't on the larger scale, it was a much smaller scale. We had like 5 to 6 core actors, and then everybody else was volunteers that literally, it was groups that came and volunteered for the same, to get money for their nonprofits. And I found that these groups are changing every weekend, even almost sometimes every night. You plop these people into these spots. Do you ever find that you want to, like, oh my gosh, this girl is, or boy or person is amazing, let's move them over here? Do you find that you switch them within that night, not just that night, but maybe other nights? But like, I think you're awesome, I need you over here. I mean, how do you look at
and when I'm talking about like characters and casting and stuff like that, that's for our paid staff. Our volunteers are like, I'm like, hey, I'm putting you in this drop door, in this breakaway door, and I just need you to scream. Right. And then you find those ones that you're like, actually, can you do more? Can you come back, please?
Yeah.
But with our core actors, like, I try not to change them around too much throughout the individual evenings, only because like it confuses them too much. And like, they're already like especially early in the season, they're so nervous to be doing it already, even with the training and dress rehearsal. Like, if I flip them like halfway through the night, it's because like what's happening is not working at all. And that's the only way. Yeah. If it's something that I know, like, okay, let them get their footing, figure out their room for a minute. And then if it's not working after night, that's when I'm like, okay, we're eating you out of here really quick. Or if, in the other hand, like, if I find somebody where I'm like, I was expecting so much more or something so different from what you were doing, I need you to be in this kind of a spot now, because this room is a lot bigger than the actor that's performing in there, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think play your A cards where your A places are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a good way to put it. Makes sense.
It's tough though. It is.
Yeah, no, I get it. I got another question that came up. Chris Moore says, our issue is that we can't find experienced actors in the area. Some of the bigger haunts in my state make the actors sign a contract saying they can't work for another haunt in the state for 3 years after they quit.
That's stupid.
Wow.
That's like the hair industry.
Yeah, right.
How do you combat that? And besides treating staff well and paying them $10 plus an hour, how do you retain staff? For us, it seems a once a season thing is a lot of people.
So as far as pay goes and like retaining staff, I think that, like Susie said in the beginning, like this is a gig rather than a job. You know what I mean? This is something that you have to love to do. And if you're having trouble retaining actors, I think like look at what your actors are interested, what their interests are. Like you don't have to like feed them every night, but at the end of like your really busy, really long nights, like reward them in some way for sticking it out with you and stuff like that. I think that actor retention is more off of creating a community and a culture within your haunted house versus like just expecting people to show up. Not that I'm not saying that that's what you were saying, but
that's
how I look at it. I want my actors to want to be there and want to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe they're bored in their spot, or they're bored with the theme, and it hasn't changed for several years, and they're like, well, I don't want to keep being that guy. And so like what you were saying is you will notice people, okay, well, you're better with this style of acting, so I'm going to put you in this room versus where you've been the last, couple of weeks or last year, and if your actors know they can come to you and say, hey, this isn't working, or I feel like this, and you're going to at least accept it. You may not be able to change it. That may be what you want it to be, but at least your actors know they can come and talk to you and say, hey, this is what this is what I feel. And maybe with some of the other haunts, maybe they don't feel that way. So you got to be approachable.
As long as they don't come to you 5 minutes before opening.
Well, yes, of course.
Because that always happens.
But yeah, like you have to be approachable to your cast. At the end of the day, like we're expecting so much of our actors every single night. Like it's being an actor in a haunted house. Like it's physically demanding. It's emotionally demanding sometimes because you just got people running through acting an asshole. But like, like we expect so much of them, and then to be performing non-stop. Like I come from the theater world. Like you have rehearsal after rehearsal after rehearsal for 4 or 5 shows. That are 2 hours long.
Yeah. But even haunting is just so much
like
more
haunting
demanding.
is like barely any rehearsal sometimes, and then a shit ton of performances that are like 6-7 hours long.
Yes.
And like depending on your attendance, I mean, we see almost 60,000 people a year that night. Like we have one giant conga line basically going through the whole house that we try as hard as we can to break it up, but it's that same battle of if the person in front of you is walking slow, that whole thing.
Yep.
But like if you're a scare actor in that scene, there is no stop. There is no like there's no backstage for you at that point unless you have a hidey hole. And like you have to be able to and be receptive of what your actors' needs are. That's how you're going to retain them, is if they know that they can come to you with stuff.
I think maybe the question that he was asking the last guy, I think it was a guy. I'm sorry if it
Chris.
wasn't.
Yeah, Chris.
How does he find actors? I think that is maybe his biggest thing. Like maybe
use the actors that you have. Use the actors that you have and pound the pavement with them. If you see every year that you have the same 5 people coming back, that means that they are dedicated, they're loyal, they want to be there, and they like it. So I doubt that they don't have any friends.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their friends are probably just like them, because like birds of a feather. So you're probably going to then, if each of them bring 2 down, you've tripled your cast already.
And they're going to be able to explain what it's like better than management can, because you're going to get it right from the person doing what
management has to sell it. We're going to make it sound like it's like very easy. And
right.
This is really fun. And then you're going to get there and they're going to be like, I can't do it. And I'm like, I told you it was like this.
I legit put that in my handbook. I have a whole paragraph that says, here's what you can expect. And I wrote all the bad shit. And then I wrote, if you don't like any of this, this isn't the job for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't say it and warn you.
We did our auditions, and I say that in quotes because like you're not auditioning to work here. Like if you show up, you're hired. Like that's my philosophy.
At this point,
like you can never have enough actors in a haunted house is how I feel. You're here to try out this spot and see if you want to do it.
Yeah.
I will find a place for you to work here. I will find the perfect spot for you. But if you don't want to run a drop panel, now's your chance to figure out that you don't want to run a drop panel, because I have one here.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you do auditions, or auditions, we'll use that term.
Yeah.
How do you do it physically at the haunt and then set them up? Okay, because that's like, from what I've experienced at larger attractions, they like have 1 or 2 nights where they bring everybody in and they kind of set them up in the haunt, and then they do walkthroughs to see how they perform in the areas.
Yeah.
Is that similar to how you would do something like that, or is there a different way?
No, we did that one year, and honestly, and like I had to audition that year, because they were like, before they made every actor from previous seasons re-audition for the new show. And I found, like, as an actor, it was like, if you were a new haunted house actor, that is like super intimidating right there, because you have no idea what you're looking at. You have no idea where you are. You're behind the scenes of like half this stuff, and like you're just very overwhelmed. So you're not going to perform properly. So what we did is we don't let anybody behind our gate until dress rehearsal, just because like we have so much going on back there. It's a construction site half the time. So like we don't want people running around, spilling paint, snapping pics, doing stuff like that. What we did was we did like 3 days of essentially like a casting call type of thing, where we had a table set up. We had a portable drop door that we brought out front, and we did it all in our parking lot.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And we just went through like a startle scare, an interactive scare, more physical like acting work with like zombie walking and stuff like that. And then at the end, we opened it up for show me what you liked the most. And then also, if you're the type of person who's like, hey, I got this really weird talent where like I can do something crazy with my body and contort it, or I'm a metal vocalist and I can screech really loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now's your time to show me that stuff.
Yeah.
And we just let them kind of.
If you can be a monster in a parking lot with no props in front of a bunch of people in broad daylight,
Yeah.
we know we want you.
Yeah.
That's talent. So tell us about your dress rehearsal, because we have a dress rehearsal that it's our friends and family night. So all of our actors get tickets for their friends and family, and we're open to feedback from them because we don't want anybody else in there. And it is our dress rehearsal. Is that kind of what you guys do, or do you do something?
So we did that a couple of years ago, where each actor was allowed to invite 2 people. And then we had like a guest list and everything. Now what we do, because we have such a large cast, so like at that point, it's like, why not just open that night? Because we have a full queue line already with how many like actors and staff members we have. What we do is we use all of our customer service, security, merch, concessions, all of those spots, our ticket booth, everything. They're our patrons that night, because they're the ones that are speaking for our show when we are open. So they need to be able to see the show, how it's going to be delivered.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
But our dress rehearsal, we do full costume, full makeup. Last year we were just like, we were pulling it all together. So we didn't run with any sound or lighting in the new spots, but usually we do it with full sound and lighting as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That's how we do it too. I mean, we're not nearly as big as you guys, but that's how we do it too. So yeah. That's cool.
I think it's important. I really do.
People aren't afraid to give us their feedback either.
How many hours do you spend a night at the haunt as a manager? I mean, are you there 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
No, so I have my normie job. So I usually will go there during the day unless I'm off. If I'm off, I get to the haunt around like 3 or 4. I try and get there at least a half an hour before like the first actor rolls in, but like, let's be honest, like I'm late everywhere I go. So that doesn't really happen often. And I'll like roll in just as we're all getting there. And I'm like throwing papers at people like, take this upstairs. But yeah, I spend probably a good like 8.5 hours there each night that we're open. And if it's a weekend, weeknights we're open. We're not open as late, so I'm not there as late. But we close at 11:30, so I usually get out of there around like 1:30.
Do you let your zone managers deal with their zones do you go over and oversee and change and tweak anything?
Yeah. Nobody's allowed to move people around. They're allowed to give actor notes just because like they're the ones that are in that section with them and they know it front to back, like the back of their hand. So like I trust them and they're handpicked by me to go into that scene and be like, okay, here's what you're doing. Here's what you maybe try this, maybe try that. And they're there to like answer questions. Like if an actor doesn't feel like what they're doing, they're getting the right response, so they can grab their zone lead and be like, hey, is there anything that you can help me with? Give me some pointers. And I give them that trust, but our actors know that like, if I got to get involved, it's a little different.
So your zone leads are an extension of you, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are veterans. They like you can't be a zone lead if you haven't been there, unless there's specific instances. But you can't be a zone lead if you haven't been there at least one season. Except last year in 2019, we had a girl. We're right, maybe I think 30 minutes away from the Tom Savini School. So we get a lot of their students that come in and work for us that season. And we had a girl who was like a Q line actor at, I think it was Legends of the Fog in Maryland. Her name was Gabby. She was phenomenal. And she came in and it was her first year. And I was like, boop, you're a zone lead.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I need you.
Well, that actually kind of goes into one of the questions that a Facebook user, because I can't see who it is, asked if
Kyle.
What are some ways? Obviously, you're a prime example of how it went from you being an actor, being a volunteer, to what you are now. But do you have a specific type of like a program, or to get from for actors to grow within the company, or staff in general, I guess too. But
it's more just like we have a system in the way that we as managers want things to be done, and I look at people who, if you're playing by our system and you're a part of our team and what we're trying to achieve, you're going to grow.
Oh, okay.
You're going to go further. Like this, we're setting people up for success. It's when we have people come in that are like, well, I only want to be a clown, that I'm like,
you're only working one night a night.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, we don't have clowns. So, except to me.
That on down the street does though.
Like, if that's all you want to do, then we're gonna run into an issue. But like if you're open to some interpretation here, maybe we can work together. But I give everybody a fair chance.
How often do you get, because it seems I know it happens, it just seems so weird to me, but how often do you get somebody coming in saying, this is what I want to do, full well not knowing what even your theme is? They just walk in and go, I'm gonna be this. How often does that happen?
It hasn't happened super often, but often enough to where I think we had like a handful in 2019 where I was like, that was
seems weird. Yeah.
But it's more our over the phone. We had like over 400 applications that came through, and I had to phone screen every single one of them.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And those are that's where like you get the people that are like, I really like Michael Myers, and I'm like, shit, okay. And then like
every haunt has one.
Like that's where we get those from. And there's nothing against like anybody that does like Michael Myers in their haunt or licensed characters. We don't though, and as haunters, like we know, like you get those people that are just like real excited and real stubborn about that they only want to be Michael Myers. But yeah, the people that show up to our auditions, we had over 400 applications, and we had like, I don't know, like 50 people show up to like the audition, and I was like, where did you all go? I needed you. I was counting on you.
Right.
But yeah, that's where we get the most of them, and it's like a lot of them.
Wow.
On the phone.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
So you mentioned that you feed your actors at the end of the night. I feed at the beginning of the night, but whatever. It's the mom in me. It's the mom in me. I don't want anybody to have like, oh, my belly hurts because I didn't have dinner.
We tell them to eat, but I'm the type of person, and maybe this is just me, and it's because like I love the taste of food sometimes. If I eat, like I eat a lot. If I eat before I have to perform, like I just like end up in a food coma. And if I have a cast of like 60 people that are like, oh, I can't scream, my stomach hurts because I ate too much. I'm like, well,
that hasn't happened yet, but I'd rather them eat than be like complaining that they're hungry and they want to run across the street and go to Sheetz for like.
That's always my favorite though. I have a headache. I'm like, did you eat?
Right.
Yeah.
I had 3 monsters, but no.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah, we have stuff for
So-
them though too, and like.
So
we'll go
is
to
it
the
every
concession
night?
stand.
Do you feed
It's
them every
not.
night?
It's not every night. Typically every Friday and Saturday. And then usually we'll partner with like a local pizzeria, and they just know like on Fridays and Saturdays, like we're coming to get these pizzas.
Oh, yeah. So they know they're going to eat. What about like awards? Do you guys do like end of the year banquet awards? Is there any special things you guys do?
Yes.
So I wanted to so bad, and we had plans to do it to kick off 2020 season. We were going to start our year with a banquet and an awards and all that stuff, and then COVID shut it all down. But so that's something that we're planning on doing. But we did paper plate awards. Like I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I wasn't managing at the time, but we did like these like funny awards that were like most likely to, and like superlatives and stuff like that of our cast.
Like unique things with our cast when we had a
That's
haunt.
what we do.
And you you give them that one thing that nobody else is going to get because they've labeled themselves as that thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a plug here just because I absolutely love Scarlet badges.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Bill's probably jumping out of his skin right now if he sees we're talking about it. But I've been a huge proponent of Scarlet badges. Do you think that that's something that benefits a haunted attraction from a haunt manager's perspective, or do you think that's something that could be too much?
No, I mean, I think if it's in your budget and that's something that you're able to do to help reward your cast, you should. Well, first of all, you should be setting aside a portion of your budget to make sure that you can take care of your actors, whether it's food, whether it's paying them, however you want to do it. But if you have the opportunity to give out Scarlet badges and stuff like that, I love them. I think they're awesome. We've never used them, but I want to so bad because I think it's just some of them are so funny. Like the one that's like I made somebody piss themselves. Those ones are great. I love those.
Yes. They're awesome. So
we're doing them this year. We haven't done them in the past, but we're definitely doing them this year.
I think it's such a great idea.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that idea. Anyway, sorry, it was a shameless friend plug, so I had it came up, so I figured I'd do it anyway. Do you have any other questions, Susie? Because I wanted to go into
the people questions because I could ask it. I'll talk to him some other stuff. We'll have drinks.
Yeah,
we'll have drinks. We'll hook up.
Do you have people questions?
There's other people questions online that you're going to get to, right? I think I saw them earlier.
Yes, Troy, do you have them up, or do you want me to go find them?
Oh, are they on the? They're on the inside. Where did you do it?
Hunter's Toolbox. There's a bunch of them. So while Troy's looking that up, Spencer, Susie, Troy, and I stumbled across these they're called pod decks. So
I forgot about those.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, is this a would you rather card?
Yeah. I was looking through.
I'm the worst because I'll do anything twice.
Oh my God. Twice. I'll regret it the 9th time.
Yeah.
No, so I went through them, and they're not haunted house related, but I'm totally going to turn them into haunted house related questions. So I've got 3 of them here. So once we get some questions from the crowd and we're wrapping it up, and we're going to run through those real quick. I got a question here while Troy's looking. Hold on.
Okay.
My mouse. Jan Skaggs.
I saw this one pop up. I'm so excited.
What process do you use for actor training?
So
it's probably like she's asking, is it a physical thing or is there a handout you give?
So my first year, I was like real into it, and I was like, we are actors. We need to go into this like as far in as we can. We're playing characters. I had like a whole like dialogue thing for like each attraction. I was going through accents and stuff. The most important thing that you can do when managing actors is teach them how to not get punched in the jaw. Like that is number 1. It's actor safety. Start with Scare Acting 101 of like actor safety, like how to not shred your voice within the first 10 minutes and the first 10 groups, like things like that. That's what I do for actor training. And then as it gets closer, we usually do 3 sessions. They're 3 weeks leading up to our dress rehearsal, which is usually a week or 2 weeks before we open. we do the first day is scare acting 101. The second day is a recap of that. And then it gets a little bit more fine tuned on like the things that I want them to do. That's when I start bringing in the dialogue training and the this and the that. And then the third day is like, just let's wreak havoc on each other and teach them how to get silly. That I think is the most important thing. Is like every session we start with like not an icebreaker game, because I think that those are like sometimes really cheesy, but like get them out of their human boxes and willing to laugh at themselves, willing to laugh at each other, because that's the most like the hardest part about being an actor and being a performer is you don't want to be like they thought I was stupid. They didn't like it. No.
Yeah.
Like if you feel uncomfortable, you're not performing properly. So if you can get them to be comfortable by being uncomfortable, it's
I found, and to jump on that, like when I would manage and run a haunt, it was I would go through like, you know, before the crowd, before everybody get everybody in their spots, and then I would go through like 15-20 minutes after the show started just to make sure, because we were a majority a volunteer haunt, and you'd go through and I would put myself, I would make myself a 17-year-old or 16-year-old girl. You know, I would scream at everything, I would jump at everything, and I would exaggerate my being scared, and the kids just eat it up. They love it because they want to impress you as much as they want to impress that. And if you get scared by them, they are beyond excited about what happens, you know, the rest of the night. And I found that, and it's more fun to go through a hunt scared than it is to go through it.
And never stop hiring actors and never stop training them.
You mean through the season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like we all have our actor retention every year, and we think about it before the season starts. But how many times have you hired actors and then they do like the first 2 nights and then they just like ghost you and they disappear?
All the time.
And you're just like, well, that was like 20% of my cast. What the hell happened?
Exactly.
And it's just because like sometimes people don't really understand what they're signing up for. And no matter how much you feel like you're delivering the expectation properly, there's that one person who's just like missed that. They were off in La La Land when you were telling them like, this sucks. It's a really long night.
Yeah.
And if it rains, we're outside. Plan accordingly.
That's a good question that brings up. How do you deal with actors that are chronic complainers that don't, you know, that you've got them there in this spot, they're not doing what you want to do? You know,
I help them. Like it. I do feel like I how do I want to say this? Not lose patience, but like it's frustrating as a human being to be like, oh my gosh. But at the end of the day, I need them just as much as they need to talk to me about what their complaints are. And if I can listen to them and help them as much as I can, that's all I can do. And then once it gets out of control, that's when you just have to step up and be a manager and run it like a business rather than a gig. You know what I mean?
I agree, because
it's the unfortunate part that actors, I think, sometimes don't understand, myself included. Before I was a manager, I was just like, I'm an actor, and now I'm like, I was an asshole.
I know there's a lot of people in the industry that call their actors boos, and I feel like that's disrespectful. And like you said, we need them, and it's a partnership. Like the first year, Troy was like my Troy, not that Troy, my Troy. Troy was like building the sets and everything, and he was like, "Yeah, babe, you do the actor stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like we can have the most beautiful haunt. If we don't have actors, we're nothing." Like you need to keep that in your head that you do need them. But there's a fine line. You can't let them walk all over you, but you do need them. And I think it's a lot of times in the community, I see a lot of disrespect towards actors, and I'm not about that at all.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have a show without them. So I mean, I grew up in the theater too, just like Spenser, and the tech crew and the light. I was the lighting manager, and you don't really get the respect until the end of the show, because everybody's like, "Oh, it was so great! I got to the lights were seamless and all that kind of stuff." But you have so many parts to each show that if one of those parts is not there or not well treated or not, just doesn't show up, then you don't have a show. So you have to respect all parts of it, and to disrespect actors that's just stupid.
Yep.
It's plain and simple.
But some of those memes are funny, I will say.
Yeah, well,
I'm not going to say that I'm not in the group and I don't laugh. I do laugh at the post in the group.
It is funny.
Well, that's and that kind of segues into kind of a dual question. Mike Ross asked, how do you deal with actors who won't stay in their spot? And Christine actually kind of went along with that too and said, how do you manage conflict? So if there's a conflict between actors or an actor won't stay in their spot, how do you deal with that on a nightly basis? Because I'm sure it happens nightly.
Yeah, so actors that won't stay in their spots and like are stealing scares and stuff like that, I very rarely, I try to not put two actors in the same room as much as I can, only because you don't know as a manager, especially when you're dealing with a large group of people, who hates each other and who doesn't. And I feel very proud that I don't know that, because I set the boundary ahead of time. Like, if you don't like each other, you're not here to like each other. I want you all to get along, but at the end of the day, like, if we have a job to do, so, but you don't want to put people in uncomfortable situations like that, or at all, but yeah, you get what I mean. And I think that, like, when it goes beyond that of like just a normal conversation and you're dealing with that conflict, you first have to set a boundary. That's the most important thing. And that's something that I do in my personal life too. Like, if Kyle and Karen want to come up to me, like, start screaming and yelling, you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm not. This is a normal conversation, and this is how we're going to continue to talk to each other. And if we're not, if that doesn't work, there's your answer. Yeah, but it's easier said than done when you're working with, I don't want to say that like you're working with expendable actors, because I don't want to have to get rid of a single actor, but it is a tough conversation to have with somebody of like, we might not be the place for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had one actor that I had to like, quote unquote, like fire. And it was like I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? I've never done this before in my life. What's going to happen? Like, if he freaks out, what do I do? And he basically like fired himself and was just like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, that was easy. But by setting a boundary and knowing that you're not allowing it to escalate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't let them get the best of you. I don't know. Does that help?
Yeah. Christine also asked, do you have any type of materials that you use for like hiring materials that you would use for selecting like your zone managers and stuff like that? Not necessarily actors, but people who are above that.
I think it's just performance from the year before. Okay. If I look at attendance, attendance is huge for me. You could be the best actor in the world. If I'm open 42 nights out of the year and you're only there 4, like, what the hell do I do with your immense talent?
Right.
But like, so I look at that. I look at initiative, somebody who's going to jump in and help when they need to help. Like, I've looked at people and been like, hey, can you do makeup tonight? And they're like, I've never done makeup. And I'm like, your Instagram says you know how to put on eyeshadow. I need you to put blood and dirt on people. And they're like, okay. And like, you teach them how to do it. You show them what you're looking for. You give them that like 5 minutes of training and say, please step up. I need your help. And if they do that, that's something that I remember stuff like that. And I look to things like that, because you want to grow people's skill sets, but you have to find the people that want to grow.
Right.
Does that answer the question?
Hearing you talk about that stuff, like, we look up to you guys so much.
I look up to you. I swear to God, you guys are like the entrepreneurs to end all entrepreneurs. I swear to God. Every 5 minutes, Susie's like, I got something for you to buy. And I'm like,
I know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So listen, I really love hearing you say that, like, you're taking people and like, hey, we need you for makeup. Because like, I always imagine these bigger haunts, like, have this giant staff. They have all these makeup artists. Everybody shows up. Everybody gets paid, $100,000 a year plus 401k. Like, I'm serious. Like, and here we are. I'm like, like, we've been there where we're like, oh my God, we don't have anybody to do makeup. I mean, haven't in a couple years, but, and we're literally like throwing makeup at each other. And I'm glad we're past that. And we're definitely doing way better in that aspect. But yeah, like, it comforts me.
Oh.
So one thing that we probably, and we we're gonna go over on this one, but what do you do with your actors to prepare them for the inadvertent or inadvertent, I don't know how you say that, somebody walking up and either accidentally or intentionally touching them as they're going through the haunt?
So professionally, scared from an arm's length away. You need to make sure that you're not putting yourself in harm's way to get the scare. I know that and this has been a huge thing that I've seen in Haunters Hangout before I jumped out of that ship. That you have to people are that I have to beat myself up and break bones and get bloody noses and stuff like that just to get a good scare. And that's no, you don't need to do that. It's fun to wake up and be like, how did I get this bruise? And then you're like, oh yeah, I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. But I teach them scare from an arm's length away. And if an actor does get into an altercation with an actor, you have to have a system. There has to be a proper protocol that every single actor, and we do this at our orientations and dress rehearsals and stuff. It's a safety training, and it goes right back into training your actors. You have to train them on those things as well. It's not just about getting the scare; it's about getting the scare properly.
Right.
Excuse me. So what we do is, if my act, I know,
I know.
And I'm so parched because I was so nervous that I was if somebody gets hit and or touched or something like that, depending on the situation, we tell them to ghost the group from a safe distance. They can't know that you're following them, and you need to go into the second room, the next room over, and find that next actor and be go hit we call it the panic button. Go hit the panic button. That panic button is a centrally located button that sets off strobe lights throughout our entire premises.
Oh my
and
God.
Those strobe lights only go off if there's an emergency, and it could be medical, anything, any type of actual emergency. If I see that those strobe lights are going off, you'll get 30 people just ripping through that haunted house, running to that button to be okay, what do we need? It's just having a system and making sure that it works, and it only works if people pay attention to the training. So that's
right.
You have to deliver the information properly.
Yeah, when we had that on a smaller scale, the actor would grab the zone manager, and the zone manager had a radio, which that would go, and then they would call security at the same point in time.
Yeah.
Which then, if there was another issue inside, they could get to him right away. Otherwise, they'd be outside at the end.
Yeah, and we tell them if you're gonna follow them, don't put yourself in harm's way. If it seemed like it was that, that's more of I jumped out and somebody said something or did something that was kind of questionable, then you can safely follow them. But if somebody pops you in the jaw, do not follow them.
No.
Right. Don't go cruising for a bruising again. No. But we also talk about descriptions, and I train each volunteer. We do a volunteer speech and talk about the description of the person who harmed you. Mm-hmm. Don't sit there. We tell them don't tell us that they were wearing all black. Look around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're all wearing all black.
Right.
You need to make find something okay, he had a green logo on his hat. It said Halloween on his hat. She had really good eyebrows, stuff like that. You're able to.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, you were talking about me? Oh,
Hey, do you guys have security inside the haunt?
Yeah. So we do 2 security teams, one inside, one outside. And we have cameras, we have security everywhere. We have our zone leads that are roaming, that are able to find stuff. Cause half the time the actors, if something not super serious happens, they'll be hey, some guy came in my room and he was messing around with this prop. And we tell them, we pretty much give the group a warning. We'll be don't touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if we have to say this again, we're just going to get you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Because 90% of the time, if they get away with it once, they're eating a prop out of there at some point.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, we use our zone leads for that. And then our security members, you're always being watched. 100 acres.
You got any more questions, Troy?
No, I think that's good. My friend Ryan, who's probably not going to be my friend Ryan after this, asked, "What's an attraction?" So we're just going to not.
There's no R.
It has
Pretty
no
much.
R. It has no R.
Oh,
It's
That's
an
why-
attraction, isn't it? Attraction?
It's a new thing. It's a new thing. I left it, and it's going to catch on. All right.
okay. All right. You know what? I didn't catch it because I just saw it phonetically as attraction. So
Same here.
you're lucky on that.
That's why I
Yeah.
left it.
All right.
So we're gonna transition. I've got three
The cards.
questions here. Oh my gosh.
We don't know what these say. All right,
No.
Spencer. So we're going to be
So-
surprised just along with
so-
you. Go.
Are we all playing?
Sure.
No.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, It's all good.
Susie's out. Susie gets 0 points.
I'm scared. Okay.
All right. So the first question is, would you rather have Elmo or Kermit the Frog in your haunted house?
Oh my God.
Is that not
Kermit with
You
the
have
hood
Kermit
or
probably
Kermit
watch.
without the hood?
without the hood? Just Kermit the
Oh.
Frog on the log with the banjo.
Oh yeah. Kermit with the hood. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would personally say Elmo because that dude is feral. Like, I feel like that's the actor that's just showing up like ready to go at all times. Like you're at Eaton Park or whatever your diner is, wherever you are in the world
Yeah. It's Eaton
after
Farm.
the show, and
We're the only ones
that
know
kid's still going.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Elmo.
And fun fact, I actually do an Elmo impression, and no, I will not do it for you today. But I
You
do it.
can't.
Like, it bursts
not gonna
people's
happen now.
eardrums. Like
Next
everybody.
time,
will walk up and
I'm
people-
out your way, you're
Yeah.
doing it.
Oh my God, totally.
I was gonna say because we can go another hour. Yeah, I can.
I got nothing to do. Let's
I
go.
got-
I sing
another hour.
Elmo's World, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, shut up!" 'Cause
We're
it's,
like, Susie,
really
what's
loud.
your actor training like? She's like, watch.
Watch. If
Like,
they stay
seriously,
through
I-
this, you're hired.
So we already know that Susie would take Elmo in the haunted house.
Totally Elmo. Unless it's hooded Kermit, and then we have a battle.
Who would you take, Elmo or Kermit Frog, and why?
It would definitely be Kermit, but it would have to be because of the fact that Kermit would be raunchy and offensive.
But Kermit's not raunchy and offensive.
Right,
Hooded
but that's
Kermit is,
that,
though.
that's what
Naive and
would
kind.
walk up. Yeah, they would think he's going to be cute and cuddly and everything, and then he's going to, yeah.
I think I have to take Kermit by default just because Elmo. I can't stand Elmo.
Oh, here we go. Now I have to do it.
Yeah.
You forced me.
Unless Elmo's
She
dropping
said, twist
F-bombs,
my arm, why don't you?
unless Elmo's dropping F-bombs, I just do Elmo. All right, Susie, do Elmo. Just do Elmo.
I can't.
Come
I
on.
can't. It takes a whole like vocal, like I gotta practice.
All right, well then next week,
Yeah.
it's just gonna pop on Elmo.
But let's be honest. I bet you there's probably a haunt in every state that has an Elmo doll somewhere in the haunt.
I do
It's
this
either
year.
on
Ours
the
is
wall,
now.
it's in a doll
I do
room,
this
something.
year. Yeah, I do
Ours
this
is
year. We have an
now.
Elmo. Uh-huh.
Everybody's gonna have an Elmo in there now. It's gonna be the
Yeah.
Easter egg.
And the other thing about the Kermit, here's the funny thing about the Kermit. My kids are like obsessed with Kermit. So for a while there, we had to take Kermit everywhere we went and take pictures of Kermit places. So when we did Transworld 2019, we took Kermit on the show floor and put Kermit all over the place. So we have all these pictures of like our little Kermit in Transworld. So,
Kermit's a great marketing tactic. I
totally.
mean, people love Kermit, so
Right.
maybe that's the
Yeah.
direction to go with that. All right, the next topic is, and it's not necessarily would you rather because I switched it into a haunted house. Would you rather find an actor that's pulling a tooth with a pair of pliers, or branding with a cattle prod?
I don't know. I feel like,
I feel like this is fucked up.
yeah, like I don't know how to be like, I hope whichever actor puts himself in a dangerous situation.
How
whichever
far
one's
would you
less-
go?
Yeah.
Talking
For
from an
this
actor's
job.
standpoint, this isn't like real, but from an actor's standpoint, would you rather see an actor branding somebody with a cattle prod?
Like
Or
in a
is that-
scene.
In a scene, yes.
In a scene. Not like
Oh,
actual.
I thought we were talking about like legit, and this is what management does to you. It turns on your trauma
Saturday night.
brain because you walk in and they're like doing weird shit with props. But like,
Oh my God.
I'm sure it happened.
I'm like, oh,
I know it
this
happened.
is like in a scene.
That poor Elmo. I don't want to know.
Oh, pulling a tooth, 100%. I'm
Pulling a-
covered in tattoos and I've been pierced and stuff. Getting a brand is like, I wouldn't. But going to the dentist,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but if you did the cattle prod with like ink, like as like a stamp, you know, you could continue to do that, you know.
Yeah.
Where the pulling of the teeth thing, that would be, you have to do some work with that. Yeah.
Yeah. You only have so many shots at that.
Just because we've done a scene with teeth, I have to say pulling teeth. Teeth is really the better scene for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know. I say teeth too. We had a little dentist scene. We're actually going to move that around, but we had a dentist scene that we in our school that the haunt is in. We actually have old dental records in the basement because back in the day you used to get your teeth like inspected or whatever, or looked at school, and the dentist would come in, and I have
They
old
have
records.
Hands down the coolest space ever. The coolest space.
But yeah, so we have we actually put them up in the scene with like actual people's names on them from like the 30s. It's cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I got the last one here.
Okay.
You've got two famous Hollywood actors that show up for your day of actor class. One is Gilbert Godfrey.
God.
The other one is Fran Drescher.
Oh God.
You keep them both.
Okay.
How do you place them and where?
So this is when I would put two actors in one room together. And what I would do is, so we open our show with an elevator, like shaft kind of thing. So we have 3 rotating elevators that you go into. They're really fun, but it's done as like the maids of and the butlers of this building. And Gilbert would Fran would be reading the rules of like, don't touch people, don't do this, don't do that. And Gilbert would be co-signing her as like the really like sarcastic, disgruntled, like shitty one.
Yeah.
So
that's what I would do.
They're the intro. They're the first room.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, of
Right
course,
out the gate.
famous actor.
Those two voices together in
Right.
one room, terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Do you have them keep their voices, or do you have them change into some other voices, or do you just keep them?
I think Fran at least is keeping that laugh for sure.
Yeah.
And then I like comedy in like the opening rooms because like you want to give them the creeps, you want to scare them, but like I think they've waited, at least for us, like hours. You need to entertain specifically. This is your last shot before it's like boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So Fran's keeping that laugh and Gilbert Gottfried's screaming at everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I don't think we need to bring that one. I think Spencer killed that one.
He did kill it for sure.
I'm not going to change that. I'm not. No, that's the best one. So, so that's it. That's the show. Everybody else is out there and they have more questions. Where can we find you, Spencer? I mean, obviously, I don't want them blowing up your DM or anything like that.
No, I mean, my Facebook DMs are always open. Find me. Let's be friends. Let's connect. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Spence X Scare.
All right. So anyway, so where can we find you, Spencer? I don't want to cut you off anymore.
No, you're fine. Facebook. You can hang out. Let's add me. Let's talk. Let's connect. And then Instagram at Spence X Scare.
Awesome. And then you are at 100 Acre Manor. You want to plug them real quick?
Oh yeah, I guess I work for this haunt. No, 100 Acres Manor in Pittsburgh, PA. Find us on all social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys so much. This was a blast.
Yay!
We'll see you next week when Susie talks like Elmo and Troy's drinking out of a flamingo.
I'm just gonna come dressed as Elmo.
Oh God!
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.